Hey guys, gals, and MBs. I'm here today with the Hologram Microcosm once again. Thanks again to Hologram for sending me one of these pedals, and I really enjoy it. Like I said in my last video on it, I was going to buy one myself, but now I don't have to, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. And over the last week or so, I've really come to appreciate some of the features I didn't demo in the first video that I made on it. And that specifically is MIDI syncing capabilities of it. We're going to go over a little bit of that. We're going to go over some cool stuff with the peak and possibly the key step. It's kind of going to be an all over there video, but it's kind of a pairing between the microcosm and the peak. So it'll be some fun. I did a video recently, or just a few days ago, on a cover version of Eco Heal that I did. And I used the MPC-1 for the piano part, and I had that MIDI sync to the microcosm. The microcosm was treating the piano pieces, and I had the Erica Synth's Night Verb, and that was treating the TO5 flute patch that I had going, and it just works so well. But now that I know that MIDI syncing is so powerful on this, let's go kind of over what I have going here. So I got a Key Step Pro here. And we're going to use this as the master clock. I have out 2 going directly to the microcosm. In theory, you could just use MIDI through or MIDI out. I guess MIDI through, it should just pass the clock without any kind of controls, but I think this passes MIDI clock by default. I'm not sure. Anyway, I wanted to simplify it. Out 2 is going directly into here. All it's really doing is sending the microcosm clock. And yeah, then MIDI 1's going out to this, and obviously it's going to send pitch data and clock and all that, though I'm not really using the clock over there. So I made this patch the other day. One of these days I'll go over this patch. I just whipped it together. It uses some of the gain structuring in the peak to give you kind of a guitarish style sound. I mean, it doesn't sound realistic, but that's not the point of it. I call it Starlute. It sounds like this. Don't worry, we'll actually make a patch in this video, I think. But yeah. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. Kind of sounds guitarish. Not exactly, of course, because it's a digital synth, but let's just pretend it's analog. I mean, the oscillators are close enough with how like overly sampled they are in terms of the processing speed. Anyway, yeah, and the filters are all analog. But yeah, I'm not using any of the FM capabilities. That's literally just kind of pinging and overdriving that filter. And I didn't write down patch notes when I was making that, so I can't really demo on how to make that easily right now. But yeah, that said, I have a sequence here, right? And I have this running at 40 beats per minute out of this. Pretty slow, but yeah. And now if I turn on, like I said, this is taking the clock from this. The easiest way to tell is if this is a good thing to know. All right, I'm going to turn that off really quick so you could hear what I'm saying. The easiest way to tell if this is taking clock is if the tap button does absolutely nothing when you try to enter in tap divisions. I had this whole like group of issues with the MPC-1's operating system and figuring out how just to send MIDI clock out. It's actually pretty easy once you figure it out, and it has a MIDI monitor that tells you, hey, it's sending clock out. But for some reason, I could not get it to work initially. You have to set like 3 things to send MIDI clock. I'm like, it's complicated, but it's a DAW in a box, right? So whatever is what it is. But you'll notice here, the subdivision that's blinking, that's tap tempo based. But if I start this, it's going to change. And now tap tempo does nothing. It's now locked on MIDI clocking. The cool thing is by default, and I think this is just behavior by itself, this thing will just respond to MIDI clock at all times on the input, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to really set anything, at least by the default settings. So that's cool. Anyway, we have sequence algorithm 2. Again, I'm still using the manual. I only have literally 2 complaints about this pedal. One is the user interface and trying to remember everything. Not a big deal. I mean, that's just like a Chase Bliss pedal, honestly. And yeah, the other one is just I wish it would, like, maybe this could change to a different. This is like a non-complaint complaint, but it'd be cool if this turned to color, just to indicate that it's in MIDI clock sync. Maybe from orange to, I don't know, this blue. I don't know. Is that an RGB LED? I'm not sure. If it is, then like maybe that beautiful blue that you have on there, something cool like that, just to tell you that it's synced to a MIDI clock. Not a big deal. You can just do the tap tempo thing, and if it doesn't respond, you can assume it's clock synced. So yeah, I'm using 2, which in the sequence 2 it's a sequence samples alternate between normal and half speed playback. I love that one. But here, so let's turn that on. Let's do this. Right? Really simplistic, but check this out. Here's without any space. We add some of the space, which is the reverb algorithm. And it's just so gorgeous, in my opinion. I just love that. All right, so here's some little things that I've learned on the key step that are interesting. And I should have known this for a while, but I kind of just learned it recently by messing with the key step. You have the sequencer channel, right? But you can use an ARP on a separate channel going into the same MIDI channel that your device is responding on, and you can play the ARP alongside the sequence. So here, track 3, I have set for an ARP, but here. Yeah, that's cool, but I can set the subdivision to be separate on the ARP as well. So I'm going to set it to 1/32, 1/32, 1/32. Is that? Yeah, that'd be right. Got 1/16, so 1/32. Either way, now it's going to go faster, but check this out. And obviously we can set this, I have this set to go down an octave, but I can go up. Let's do that, and let's hold that. Now I can bring in another ARP on a different channel. Let's turn that to ARP. So yeah, you could take something super simplistic like just that patch, throw it into the sequence mode on this, and then you get that unbelievably beautiful sounding just sound. And Mosaic was another one. I think that's what I used in the Eco Heal video that I did earlier. And I think I used the Mosaic mode. I'm trying to think. Yes, I used the Mosaic mode. I think I used D on that. You probably go to the video and find out. But yeah, if you haven't heard that, that game is absolutely wonderful. I know it's ancient by today's standards. I mean, I was a teenager when that game came out. What was it, like 1999? Was it 2000? No, I don't remember when it came out. I remember being super excited by it because I loved the atmosphere of the game, and then I just had to have it. But yeah, well worth looking at if you've never looked into it. The soundtrack is it has a very limited soundtrack. It's very Spartan. It's got very minimalist, but it's probably one of the most gorgeous soundtracks in existence. next to their second game, which was Shadow of the Colossus, but that was a different composer. That was Ko Utani, I think it was. I think I'm saying that's right. They did the same. They did the soundtrack for Habane Remne too, and that was an awesome soundtrack. So pretty sure most of you have never watched that anime. If you haven't, also highly recommended. But yeah, anyway, Mosaic in mode 4. Let's MIDI sync that again. Let's hear that. I'm going to turn off the ARP really quick on this. And then we'll bring the ARP back in a second. So takes a second, build up the buffer. God, yeah. Let's bring up the mix a little. I guess there is pretty good. And then we can bring in the ARP again. Also, one thing you can do is you can record the ARP into a sequence, which we'll do really quick. Alright, and then we can play the sequence back. It'll be in a different subdivision. We'll bring it back up to 1/32. Then I could add some more notes up here. Oh yeah, I was recording that in. Whoops. You get the idea. I could reload it. Luckily I saved that. Yeah, so unbelievably beautiful. Let me reload. Geez, let me figure out how you reload a project. I think to reload a project, you go here. No, always. There we go. Hold on. I'm just going to reset it. I don't remember how to reload a project. The interface on Arteria stuff seems to be kind of convoluted every once in a while. Take that what you will. Okay, it's reloaded, and I want to. The next one that I love to MIDI sync is blocks. Specifically, I think it was blocks. Let me see what the algorithm in that one was. It was. Just bear with me. We could bring it over. Let's just bring it over to blocks. It was the one without the filtering. So we'll bring it over. I think it was 2. 2 has pitch changes as well. So sequence, haze, blocks. Here we go. Rearrange your playing. Rearranges pitch shifts incoming signal. Though A and B are cool. Let's just hear them. Let's do it. And I think the shape changes the onset of that. So. Yeah, that's so cool. Especially with a lot of reverb. Going to 1. 1 is nice too. I haven't tried the sequence one, which rearranges it. So, I mean, I guess we could do that really quick, can't we? Let's go into the sequence. Let's do those. Live samples and shuffles into random rhythms. That should be cool. You can change the time signet or the time subdivision here too. Oh, that one has some pitch shifting. Oh yeah, I like that one. Ooh, yeah, that's cool. Let's try the ARP again. Tempo 2 is really cool on that. I like that. All right. So yeah, that's kind of like the MIDI syncing worked with on that, and I absolutely love that. That just sounds so cool. So yeah, I was gonna go over a few other things. I made a quick patch on this earlier this week too, and doesn't have enough characters. It was kind of a joke. It's like the OBX we have at home. That's what it was supposed to be. It's an emulation, obviously, of an OBX on a peak, and I got pretty close. I think it kind of has that feel to it. I mean, you can tell me if you think so, but I think so because I made it. We'll use Haze. We'll use Haze algorithm. Which one is my favorite one? I use Haze a lot. Haze. There we go. Haze 4 mixture. Yeah. It's the last one. I just love that one here. Oops, let's go here. Here's with nothing. Brassy, almost Oberheim style sound out of this, and I think it's close. It's obviously in a mix. You probably couldn't tell that much, but yeah. So let's go back to the Haze. Let's bring down the speed to there, and then let's hear that. Bring up the volume of the effect a little. There we go. And obviously, we're not sending a clock anymore, so we're just using the internal. Turn it to about there. So, see, now I can set it. I could also just set it over to being tempo on this control. Yeah, so really cool. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to make a patch here. At least let's make a patch. So I said on my what was it? Was it the TO5 video? No. It was actually the video with the Microcosm. It was my last major video where I actually did talking. And I made a patch, or I tend to make a patch that I call cascading flutes. And any synth that has a LFO, a polyphonic style LFO that can like cascade the rhythm across note spans and things like that, you can do it with. And the peak is one of them. Any synth that can do that, you can do that. You can do it with the Trigon 6 using the polymod section. You can't do it with the LFO, but this one we could do it with the LFO. So let's just get into that. I'm just going to make an init patch here. Actually, you know what? We're going to go over to Logarithm. That's one of the default patches or one of the factory patches. I don't want to overwrite one of mine. So, all right, let's just do this really simple. You're going to use a triangle wave. You can use a sine if you have it available, but the sine isn't going to filter the same. You have a little bit of harmonics on the triangle, like a tiny bit. There's a little bit there. You can even change the waveform a little here. But we want it to be very, very subtle. Let's make it a little fluty, so let's add some attack. And let's add some release. I love triangle waveforms, and if a synth does it well, and the peak is definitely one of them, the TO5 is another one. Trigon's another one that just has a beautiful triangle. Okay, so that's the triangle. Let's hear the difference between that's the sine. It's a little bit of a dirty sine on this one. It's actually funny because the sine wave in one of the wavetables, the BS, which stands for base station, I believe, sine, is a lot cleaner than the default one. But it sounds more like a triangle than it does it's weird. It's just weird. Let's just use the triangle. We'll get at that. All right, so this one's pretty damn simple. All you're going to do is now you're going to assign the LFO to the filter. So what we want to do is we want to go to the mod matrix. I think is there a way to do it easily? Oh yeah, we don't even have to do that. This is super easy. We already have it here. So, and then we have to turn down the frequency so you can actually hear it. We're going to use 12 dB for now. We can change that later. Another function that you're going to need besides a polyphonic LFO is some way to track the keyboard to the LFO speed. So even something as simplistic seeming as the Nymphus from Dreadbox has that functionality buried away. So this one is a little more straightforward because you have a screen. You just go basically into the mod matrix. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from the source, we're going to go to keyboard, and then we're going to destination it to the LFO speed. So LFO 1, because that's what's tracking the filter right now, or affecting the filter. LFO rate, we're going to turn it up. So I would go up to do this to taste, I usually go up to the highest note I'm going to play, which is right about here. And we want that to be nice and fast like that. And if you have some way to make sure that your LFO is in free mode, which by default it is on here, which is absolutely fantastic, you basically have cascading flutes already. So it's that simple. So you have a lower frequency, it's going to go nice and slow. That stays nice and slow, but we use a higher frequency here, and that'll go faster, but they're not going to affect each other. Turn down the frequency a little more so it's more evident. And that's with no effects, and that just sounds really gorgeous already. At least I think so. We can use a little 24 dB is nice on that. Have a nice sharp cutoff there. One thing we can do with the peak, I especially love the voice spread now with the newer firmware updates on this thing. I'm going to turn up the voice spread. As you know, one of the things I love to do with sequential synths is use that beautiful voice spread. So I hope you're listening to this in stereo, but now you have a pan spread on each voice. And now let's add that beautiful haze algorithm into that, shall we? I'm going to add mode 4 there. Let's add a little bit of filtering there. Can add a little more LFO depth and turn this down even more. Gorgeous. Now, one of the interesting things I never thought about, I almost always do that with like a flute patch, but I haven't tried that with a plucked patch, where we just have a cascading alpha. Let's go back to my lute patch that I did. So we're gonna go to Star Lute. I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but we're gonna try. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a little weird because I'm using. Yeah, it's not gonna work per se, but let's just try anyway. And let's try the waveform. We're gonna use it kind of like a gate. Okay, and we're gonna take the envelope depth down. You already have some cascading going on. So let's go in here and let's affect the, we want to go here. We want to go from the keyboard to LFO speed. I'm passing it, aren't I? No, not yet. There it is. All right. Let's try that with a sequence. Okay, let's bring in Mosaic. Let's bring up the speed here. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's try sequence mode 2. It'd be pretty cool if we could do the LFO also to the clock, but I don't know if this can actually do that. I don't generally MIDI clock LFOs that often. I have been on sequential synths because it works so well, but I'm not even clocking this specifically to this because it's, but I guess it's ARP and clock. Huh. Maybe you can. LFO. Is there an LFO common? I guess not. Maybe I should read the manual one day. Either way, that's pretty damn badass in my opinion. Let's go to blocks. Change the time. Let's use one of the lamps. Nah, we'll just go there. Either way, that's a lot of fun. So yeah, that even works on there, but yeah. So yeah, fun times. Just wanted to share some cool things I found out about the microcosm a little more. Some fun things I love to do with the peak, as I haven't brought the peak into a video in a while, and I know people love to see the peak. The peak is the reason I ended up getting a microcosm in the first place, because Matt over there at Hologram Effects hit me up with an offer after seeing my Novation Peak videos, so that's pretty damn cool. I know, especially, I'm really proud of the patch that I made for this. That's the Skyrim-esque patch, but yeah, I think that does it for a lot. I do have the Skyrim patch here. Let's go to the haze algorithm, since you know I love the haze. And we're in no MIDI syncing right now. We're going to turn this way down, and I have a copy of it. I think it's here. Yeah, so there's no effects on this one coming out of the synth. It just has pan spread. So we can let this do the effects. So let's hear the Skyrim-esque patch. Oh yeah, maybe you should hear it without. It kind of has that Skyrim style, doesn't it? Now let's add that beautiful haze algorithm. This thing just turns everything cinematic, basically. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that will call it quits on my video today. This is going to go on for a while, so I'll just kill the audio there. But yeah, I just, again, wanted to share some cool stuff I love to do with the Peak. Peak is such a versatile synth. It's still one of my favorites, though. That TO5, damn, that's up there. It just, especially as an analog synth goes. But yeah, that said, I still love the Peak, and you can do some cool shit with it, especially since the LFOs are all, at least LFO 1 and 2 are free running and they're technically polyphonic, or, I mean, it's kind of a buzzword to call it a polyphonic LFO. It's just a free running LFO that is one LFO per voice kind of thing. So it'll have 8 copies of the LFO per, for the entire synth. So each voice gets its own, at least on 1 and 2. I think the other ones are monophonic because there's some other LFOs that were added in firmware updates, and I think that those are global LFOs. But yeah, cool things you can do. Microcosm's absolutely just unbelievable, as you can hear. So it basically sells itself. So that's just an awesome pedal. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed to me already, go ahead and subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. I don't know what I'm going to do next yet. I might post a video this weekend, but don't count on it. I'm going to maybe take a little bit of a break over the weekend, and then I'll be back next week. I know this is a weird upload schedule for me to do it on a Thursday evening, but I just had a lot of inspiration from the Microcosm to do things. So yeah. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. Bye.